Only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far they can go. Those words from T.S. Eliot invite us to imagine boldly, to risk stepping beyond that which is comfortable for the sake of something truer, deeper, more just. Today, as we turn to the words of Jesus in Mark's Gospel, we might find ourselves challenged to find a new way of living in a world that's structured around greed, accumulation, and anxiety. I invite you now to listen and indwell this ancient teaching.
A reading from Mark 12:13 through 17, the question about paying taxes. Then they sent him to some Pharisees and some Herodians to trap him what he said. And they came and said to him, "Teacher, we know that you are sincere and show deference to no one, for you do not regard people with partiality, but teach the ways of God in accordance with truth. Is it law to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Should we pay them or should we not?" But knowing the hypocrisy, he said to them, "Why are you putting me to the test? Bring me a denarius and let me see it." And they brought one. And he said to them, "Whose head is this and whose title?" They answered, "Caesar's." Jesus said to them, "Give to Caesar the things that are Caesar's and to God the things that are God's." And they were utterly amazed at him.
Admiral James Stockdale was the highest-ranking American naval officer to be captured in the Vietnam War, and he spent nearly 8 years as a prisoner of war. Years after Stockdale was released, author Jim Collins asked him which prisoners had not survived captivity. "That's easy," Stockdale said. "The optimists." The optimists. He went on to say, "Some prisoners told themselves that they would be released by Christmas. When Christmas passed, they hoped for Easter, then Thanksgiving, then another Christmas. In the end," Stockdale said, "they died of a broken heart." Now, Admiral Stockdale wasn't saying that hope in and of itself is dangerous, but instead he was warning us against an optimism that ignores reality. He believed he would survive, but he never connected that faith with a specific rescue date. He accepted two hard truths at once. Two hard truths. His life still had meaning on the one hand, but on the other hand, he knew it was going to be harsh. Now, most of us find it hard to hold two truths. In our text for today, Jesus says, "Give to Caesar the things that are Caesar, and give to God the things that are God's." In a very real way, he was asking his followers to hold two difficult truths. Why would this be difficult? Well, I think it's difficult because back then and still today, we're being asked to choose where our loyalties lie. Are we loyal to the empire or to God? To illustrate this point, Jesus asked these religious leaders to hand him a denarius. A denarius was a coin that bore Caesar's image and his title. You see, in the Roman world, a denarius was much more than just money. It carried the face of the empire. It announced who proclaimed power, who claimed ownership, and even more importantly, who claimed divine authority. So Jesus was saying, in effect, if Caesar has stamped his image on a coin, then give Caesar this coin. But then the turn in this text comes, the question underneath the question. Who then bears the image of God? Well, Genesis gives us the answer, right? We do. Humanity was created in the likeness and image of God. So if the coin belongs to Caesar because Caesar's image is stamped upon it, then it follows that every human being belongs to God because God's image is stamped upon us. That means our worth isn't assigned by wealth or by race or by citizenship. Our worth is given by God. Our dignity is given by God. Our neighbor's dignity is given by God. But here's the difficult part. in the United States of America, in the year 2026 of the Common Era, these images are not so clear. So what do I mean by that? Well, in our time, the lines between nationalism and faith have become blurred. The distinction between our understanding as our roles as citizens and our responsibility as Christians, as people of faith, have been kind of lumped together as if they're equal. But they're not. They're not. Now, please don't misunderstand me here. We do have a patriotic responsibility. We have the responsibility to vote, for example, right? This week, we have the opportunity to cast our votes on Tuesday. To participate in a democracy is an important part of being a citizen of this nation. And we have the responsibility to follow the rule of law and to hold our elected officials accountable to these same laws. We should gladly give the things to Caesar that are Caesar's. But if we're going to give to God the things that belong to God, then we must give God our whole selves. When Jesus says, give the things to God that are God's, he's not asking for a small portion of our religious selves just on Sunday morning. He's asking all of us to reorder our lives around love. And furthermore, to give to God what is God's is to refuse to let a denarius become our master. Instead, we're being called to use the blessings we have been given, our time, our talent, and our resources, in ways that heal rather than harm, in ways that include rather than exclude, in ways that liberate rather than exploit. And this means we must ask hard questions of our economy and who's being left behind. Who's being asked to carry heavy burdens that others refuse to see? Giving to God what is God's means giving dignity back to workers and seeking economic justice for those crushed by our current economy. Let me leave you with this today, with a question actually. What is economic justice? Well, in my mind, economic justice reminds us that what we hold was never really ours anyway. Economic justice interrupts the lie of scarcity. Economic justice can even become a spiritual practice of solidarity with those who are struggling. And here's the really cool part. When we let economic justice guide our generosity, holding those two truths that I spoke of earlier becomes easier. It becomes easier to give to Caesar what is Caesar. And it becomes easier to give to God what is God's. May it be so. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.